Hey, 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 everyone. We are live. We are live. We are live. I'm going to hide you real quick and then I'll bring you back in. Let me hide you.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Hey, everyone. This is your girl, Troy Ravenel, wife success coach, helping wives to manage their emotions so that they can constructively de escalate conflict. The whole agenda, the whole goal is to build and maintain a Christ centered marriage. Marriage is a God idea. And when you take him out of the equation, then all hell will break loose. So I have a special guest on tonight. For the last few weeks, we've been talking about married and mothering while black. So come on in, come on in, come on in. I do have someone that I'm going to introduce, and I'll bring her in just a moment, and I'll just give her an opportunity to share. I met this young lady years ago, and I can't remember how I met her, but she's an extraordinary young lady. She's actually been the MC, the master MC at several of our events, at our conferences all around the world thus far. She's an entrepreneur herself. She also is a very artistic young lady. She is soon to be engaged. She'll talk a little bit about that. And she is a mother of two extraordinary young men, which one just traveled to Florida, I believe, for college. And she's doing some amazing things in the Charleston area. She's a speaker. She is an event host. She is a MC, a master MC, not just your regular MC. She is so many things, so many things, so many things I can say about her. But she's just an ordered, all around amazing person, and I'm glad to be in her space. I do want to apologize for being late, you guys. I am traveling, as you can see. I am in the car, and I just had some issues getting online, of course, because of Wi-Fi issues and things of that nature. Nonetheless, we are here. So thank you for your grace. Thank you for the opportunity to still share. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my sister, my friend, Deya Patterson, and let her just say hey to you guys. And if she wants to share a little bit more, she can do that as well. Come on in, girl. Hey.
Hey, such an honor to be on with you, Trill. As I always say, your, it was your event. Like I always knew I had a voice, but it was at your event that I literally discovered that I can use it. Do you know what I mean? You know how you have a roar, but you've never actually roared before.
Yeah.
It was at the event. I was like, wait a second, I can really do this.
Wow.
So yeah, hey
That is so super exciting. And I know just on your journey, starting on your journey, and just all the questions that you had. However, you were very teachable, very coachable, willing to learn what needed to be done, and just really discovering your purpose. So that was so fun with you because you had like, I have all these ideas. I can do all these things. Like, listen, you guys, she is a master at so many things. And before we go any further, I need you all. I have over 1,000 people that's in this group and on close to 10,000, if not that, on the public page. So I need you guys to share. I know that with the algorithms with Facebook, sometimes people can't see when I'm going live and things of that nature, but I need you guys to tag people. I need you to tag a black mother. I need you to tag a black wife. I need you to tag, share, and invite. I need you guys to be on this conversation on tonight. We will not be long. I promise you. We'll be off in like 20, 25 minutes tops. But I need you guys to come in. I need you to be a part of the dialogue because you need to hear her story, hear her journey. And we're just going to start even from there, Deya, because, coming on the scene and you trying to figure out what you wanted to do, had these two extraordinary young men, black men, and this is before all of this openness of systematic injustice and racism, although it was always there. It's before all of this stuff was going on, but you just trying to find your way in the world. Can you just share just even how it was, raising two black sons and being a single mom and trying to date and all of this, and then we'll bring it forward to where we are right now. I'm gonna try to get some people in here while you
Okay,
talk.
great, great. So I always tell my oldest son, first of all, he's my game changer. So prior to having kids, I just never thought much of myself. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't think I was capable of much. I didn't think I was smart enough. I had so many negative self thoughts, and it was having my son at 19 that And not just having him, he was actually about 5 when he said something that it clicked. And that is when I got started on my journey as far as self-discovery and jumping out there and being an example, if not for me, really just for him. And then when I had my second son, for both of them, just showing them kind of what I never saw, and then digging deep into myself so that they would be able to dig deep into their selves. So not only do I tell him that he was my game changer, I also let him know that we kind of grew up together. So
I
I
know about
was
that.
growing up and growing up. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
have this son and I'm like discovering myself. I'm learning myself. I am digging. I started to go outside of my comfort zone. So you can't see it now.
Hmm.
But first of all, I still am nervous. I still am a little bit introvert. I still am all these different things. But before, I was extremely paralyzed by it. So I was the person who kind of was on the quiet end of things, or I wouldn't sing even if I could sing. And the one time somebody called me up to sing, I couldn't even remember the words. Like I was just so but when my son said something and it clicked, and I saw that he was watching me, I saw that he had potential, and I saw that I just said this last night, he was my audience. So for the first time, I had an audience. Prior to that, everybody was on a pedestal. Everybody else was up on the stage, and I was their audience. But for the first time, I had an audience. So we grew up together, and I just knew I had to be something in order for them to be something. I knew that I had to at least show how to dig into yourself, how to go past the norm, how to not be a statistic. I say that, I mention that a lot. I just looked up and saw that I was a statistic. I'm a single mother raised by a single mother. I was a high school dropout, raised by a high school dropout. I was, just everything that was a statistic. I'm in the hood. I'm a black woman in the hood, single mom with kids on welfare and Section 8, like everything that made me a statistic.
Wow.
I knew that I didn't want my sons to be a statistic. So I knew I didn't want them in the streets. I knew I didn't want them to be drug dealers. I knew I didn't want them to go to prison. So I digged inside of myself, hopefully to be an example for them to now dig into themselves. Like, look at your talents, look at your gifts. You don't just because we live in the hood, don't
Right.
mean you have to go straight to the corner. You can still be great. So that's kind of literally my whole journey that got me, or that woke me up to now. Just having sons and having black sons was a lot, especially when I saw that I was a statistic and I didn't want them to be the same. The whole pipeline thing, that was really
Hmm.
real for me when my son was about 5. And I just started, I believe it was God that just turned the light on. The moment when you're supposed to evolve, he will just randomly turn the light on, and then you evolve. And then now you're thinking about that. So I grew up with my sons. I grew up with them. I discovered myself with them. And so now they're discovering themselves, and I'm just glad to have went on a journey and not got stuck.
Wow, you said a lot. You said a lot of things, and your story is similar to mine in just trying to figure it out. I grew up, I didn't know I was living in the hood until I was out of the hood, if that makes sense, because you know, before the neighborhood we lived in, it was a nice neighborhood. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, so many things happened. My parents always paid a mortgage, they always paid bills. So we thought that that was norm. It was not until we got out and people would be like, grew up in the hood. I'm like, that's not the hood. They're like, yes, that is. I'm like, okay, sure. But even with that, even being a young black mom, had my son at the age of 17 years old. Although I didn't know a lot, I knew enough to know that I did not want to be a statistic. And I knew enough to know that I had to do something different because I wanted his life to evolve and be great and do great. So you were just saying how, when your son was about 5 years old, you knew that although this was your predicament, although this was your situation, because your story is like so many other single
Mm-hmm.
moms.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Wanda. And listen, guys, before I go any further, listen, tag, share, and invite. If you know a single mother, if you know
Yes.
a mother, if you know a wife, I need you guys to tag, share, and invite. I've been trying to tag, share, and invite, but I also need to listen to Dia so I can engage, so I cannot multitask. It's a myth. So I need you guys to help me out. Please tag 5 of your friends on here, share it on your social media, share it on your platforms if you would. We're talking about being married and mothering while Black, and we're going to get into some juicy stuff here. So, you were saying when your son was about 5 years old that you knew that you had to do something, you had to change your situation. And although it was the hood, although you were getting assistance and all of these things, you did not allow that to impede on your ability to be better, to do great. Because I don't know if you fully understood, like we would be here in 2020, but something in
Right.
you knew that, okay, I have to set the example. Although I have not been the example, I have to set the example. And although that's your story as a single mother, thank you so much, Wanda. You have so many mothers, you have so
Right.
many wives that struggle with the same thing. They struggle with identity, because that's what
Right.
I hear, because I had the same thing, right? Struggle with identity, struggle with trying to find out who they are, struggle with trying to find out their purpose. And one thing I do know is when you're struggling to figure it out, your children will struggle as well. When you're trying to when you're dealing with all of these identity crises and dealing with rejection and dealing with abandonment, because we deal with the same thing, right? Daddy issues and just trying to find ourselves in the world. Uh, your kids will struggle with the same thing. So how do you then be that parent? How do you be that support system for somebody when you need the help yourself? How do you
That
give
was
the
good.
help? How do you give the help when you're in need? And being a mother, there is no manual. Yes, there is a word of God, and I swear by the word. I don't know, I shouldn't say swear. I am. I
Live
apply
by?
the word of God. I think they say swear is a bad word.
Right.
I apply the word of God. I believe in the word of God. I have faith.
However,
However, every situation is unique. Every situation is different.
yeah.
Yes, there are principles in the Word of God, but when you're talking about specific things, when it's relating to your child, your children, your boys, your male children, it's there's specific things that you must learn. There's
Yeah.
specific things that you must know. So there is no manual. So that with me, it was a lot of fear. It was a lot of anxiety. It was a lot of worry of him being like his bloodline. If I just can be honest with you, it was a lot of that because a lot of things that he was exposed to and a lot of things that he saw, a lot of things that where he came from, right? Bloodline wise, things that I had no control over, but things I used to worry and pray about all the time. So there was no manual. So how do you help when you need help?
That's so good. So just to dig a little bit deeper, it's a girl chat, right?
Yes,
So
it's a girl chat.
let me go in a little bit, just to dig a little bit deeper and to be a little bit more transparent. So what my son said at 5 that changed my mind. So mind you, I am this young single mom and I'm fly out here in these streets. And so I had just set this precedent, right? I said, you know what? So if a guy wants to see me or if a guy wants to date me or whatever, I am now going to, if he wants to see me, to make it like a little bit maybe less intimate or something like that, I will have him come by like during the day, basically. So like in the neighborhood, so it doesn't look, so he's not in my house. And so this is just my thinking. I like maybe like 21. I don't know how old I was. I was older than 21, but that was my thinking. I'll have him come by in the day. You know what I mean? So it can be a little bit more friendly or not as provocative or not a bad look like at night is. And so I was doing something, maybe coming up from the basement or something like that. And my son was like standing at the top of the stairs. And he just said, Ma. And he said I don't know the exact words, but it was about guys coming in the daytime.
Mm,
Literally.
wow.
And mind you, he like 4 or 5. Like he's a little kid. This is kindergarten, preschool age. But that's what he said specifically about that. I can't remember if he said why or what or who, but he said something to that effect. Right in that moment, I knew that he was watching.
Mm,
Right in that moment, I knew that he was paying attention. Right in that moment, I knew that he was intelligent. In that moment, I knew that he was different from me. I
mm,
knew that he wasn't maybe like a broken thing.
yeah.
I knew that he wasn't a damaged thing. I knew that he was a highly intelligent little person.
Yeah.
And so that is what literally changed my mind. So he didn't say something randomly like, "Oh my, I love you." No, he questioned what was going on.
Very observant.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it was that made me say, okay. And it was at that moment that I really kind of went a totally different way. And you asked the question, well, how do you help when you need help? Exactly that. When the light comes on, you follow it. And
Mm.
so, and not only that, I always communicated. I feel like me and you, with our age group, we are in the middle of new school and old school. And
Mm-hmm.
so old school says, I'm not going to tell y'all. I'm not going to tell my kids when the lights are off. I'm not
Right.
going to tell my kids when I'm hurt. I'm not going to tell my kids when I'm sad. I'm not going to tell my kids about the struggle. I'm not going to talk to my kids. And so not only did I change everything and I switched up, but I also talked to
Is he like
them.
crawling in the back?
Girl,
So it's
I
okay.
told
It's
him I
real
was
life.
going to be
I'm in the
live.
car.
He said he's trying to get in the shot. but yeah, I always
It's real
communicate
life,
with
y'all.
them.
Right.
Right, we're very live. Thank you, CJ. Mess up my moment. I just made it. Anywho, that's my son, y'all. That's my armor bearer.
Hey, CJ. CJ's going to Florida.
Yes, this
Hey,
is my son that just graduated. My youngest son.
congratulations, CJ.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. Interesting.
So handsome.
So yeah. So I don't even know where we were, but so I always
How to help
was
when you
taught.
need help, and you say you
Yeah,
saw the light. Over in the middle of new school, old school.
yeah.
The old schoolers
And
don't
so
take it.
I always talked to them. I always had
Right.
an open conversation. So when he said that, I didn't shut him down. I didn't shut him down and say, I do what I say, and something like that.
Right.
I answered this question, and throughout the entire journey, because we have gone through so many twists and turns, and then we
Yeah.
moved, and I just always honestly communicated with them, even about my thoughts and
Mm.
about where I am. You know what I mean? So this is where I was when I got y'all. This is where I am. I don't know what's going to happen. They've seen me cry. They've seen me this. They've seen me that. But I think that that's how you help. I think transparency helps if you don't know the answer. Don't make up one and don't shut them down
Right.
for asking, or don't shut them down. I just feel like I was an inquisitive kid and there are so many things I needed to know. And I think that's how you help. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like with somebody with no guidance, like you said, there is no manual. I feel like honesty would have helped me a lot, and communication would have helped me a lot. And so throughout this whole journey of being a parent to these two black boys, I have just always tried to communicate, and whatever their thoughts are, not shut them down. Let them know the standards that I have for them and why.
Right.
And
Right.
why. Letting
Right.
you
Right.
know that
Right.
it's not that I don't want you to be like your daddy, but I don't. And
Mm.
like my
And
family, my past,
mm-hmm.
I've seen everybody go to prison. I've seen this change their life. I've seen that happen, and I don't want it to happen to you. Why? Because you are amazing, because you are intelligent, because you are special. And
Yeah.
even before I knew I was, or when I discovered I would tell them, I'm like super cool, and I didn't even know it. So I'm trying
Mm.
to make sure that you know. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
just
And nobody really
communicate.
told you
Right.
from
Just
as a young girl.
communication. Right. And I said that. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know, and I
Yeah.
bumped into me. You will know from the
Right.
beginning.
Right.
So I feel like that's how you help. Just being honest. And obviously, giving it to God when necessary. Because as they got older, things got complicated.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know about how it was with you, but with sons, they're the most easygoing humans in the
They
world.
are. They
Like,
are. Hmm.
listen, put
But
us
they're
in
very.
until about 15, maybe even
Yeah.
13. And
Yeah. They
then
get
they
like.
start to get like different because they want to be a man, they want to be
Mm-hmm.
independent. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm a nagging mama. Before
Mm-hmm.
I was a cool mama,
Right.
So,
Very vocal, non-filterish.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but before they were my babies.
Right. Right.
So as they got older, just turning it over to God. But prior to
Right.
that, when I'm learning me and I'm discovering me and I'm just trying to figure it out, I just communicated with them.
That's good. You said a lot of juicy things. Hey, Tima, is it Tima or Tima? She said,
Yes,
yeah.
Tima.
Hey, you guys, make sure you tag, share, and invite. Tag, share, and invite. We're going to be on for just a little while longer. Dia, you said so many great things, and what I heard you said is, follow the light, even if you don't know. When something clicks, when you see
Mm-hmm.
something, when you know something, when you're introduced to something, to follow that light, and that takes place not just as a single woman, but as a woman as well, because there
Yeah.
are, there are many times where we may be confused about certain things. There are many times where we may have some level of uncertainty or not really sure about our
Right.
next
Right.
move, our next level. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
follow that light. We have to follow the next thing so we can show up in the world the way that we
Right.
need to show up. And as far as being, praying and just believing God, there comes a point where they have to make that decision themselves. It comes a
Right.
point where they have to find their own faith. They have to find their own, who they decide to serve. We would hope and pray that they serve the God that we serve and they have the faith that we have. But a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, especially this
Right.
new age or whatever it's called,
Mm-hmm.
they are just experimenting and doing all
Mm-hmm.
sorts of things. So it's up to us as parents, regardless of how old they are, to continue to cover and to pray for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something very important about the honesty, the openness, and the transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Just communicating. And I believe that's an issue, not only the old school and the new school, that's an issue in the Black community as a whole. We
Mm-hmm.
don't talk to our kids. Everything is a secret.
Right.
Everything is,
Right.
we're full of shame. We're full of fear a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's a level of guilt there. And three things that are poison, that will poison any relationship. That's with mother and child. That's with
Mm-hmm.
husband and wife. That's with partnerships. Arrogance, ignorance, and pride.
That's it.
Arrogance, ignorance, and pride. If you have those things, you will damage a relationship. And I'm guilty myself of not always being transparent with my son, especially when he was younger. And I see now, like, man, I should have told him this or I should have told him that. And I'm finding myself now wanting to open up and to share certain things with
Mm-hmm.
him just so he will know, not necessarily to try to tell him what to do or control his
Right.
life, but to tell him like, hey son, I get it. I know what that feels like. I know what you're feeling or what you're going through, or I can relate or I empathize
Mm-hmm.
with that. And here is why. So when you're open, honest, and transparent and you build that relationship, not
Right.
only can you teach them and they can learn how to be and how to show up in the world as a Black male, but when we get to fast forward things that are happening now with George Floyd and with Breonna
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, with
Mm-hmm.
Ahmaud, and all of these things, and now they're seeing the injustice. Now,
Right.
as Black moms, how do we now have that conversation? How did you have that conversation with your sons? Because honestly, we talked about it even before my son did the protesting and all that. We talked about it, but it was never a level of depthness. I didn't
Right.
know he felt the way he felt until all of this was, till everybody else knew. I knew that he was always passionate. I knew that
Mm-hmm.
he was always an emotional, he's not afraid to express his emotion. I know when he
Mm-hmm.
believes in something, he will do it no matter what you tell him. He's very bullheaded. That's
Headstrong.
good and
Mm-hmm.
bad. Very strong-willed, very strong-willed, good and bad. However, I didn't know that he was feeling the way that he was feeling until everybody else did, just to be very
Right.
transparent. So I really didn't have that conversation with him. He was having that conversation among his peers and
Mm-hmm.
among others. So how did you, or if you did, have that conversation?
With my sons, so there are a couple of things I try to be careful of. Um, Obviously because I just don't know everything, and I just want to be there for them, and I want to be able to be their mom forever. I feel
Mhm.
like with our children, we raised them to be a little bit more
Right.
independent,
Girl, and
maybe
they
a little
are.
bit too
They're
independent.
too independent.
Right. But we
Listen.
made them that way
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we weren't able to be that way.
Right.
So there are a couple of different things I don't push on my sons. So I don't push my belief in my God,
Right.
and I try not to push my opinion on them. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when it came to everything that happened with George Floyd and just the protests and things like that, I literally just asked them kind of what they thought. Do you know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
always kind of have these moments of, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think? Not necessarily pressing them like, isn't this wrong? Ain't
Right.
this is
Right.
so crazy out here in these streets, da 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 da. Because I don't want to.
Influence their thought process,
Right,
their
right,
mindset.
and
Yeah.
then you can make them upset. You can
Right.
kind of what is it called? Instigate. You can
Mm-hmm.
instigate their feelings. You know what I mean? Like,
Exasperating.
yes,
Yeah.
you know what that is wrong. I'm
Yeah.
about to go out here, da 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 da. And so I never want to do that. So I try to, I guess, be crafty. I'm learning to be a little bit more crafty with my sons. My oldest son is 21, so he's
Mhm.
actually an adult. And then my youngest son, he's 17, about to be 18. So they're old enough to kind of have their own thoughts and feelings. And
Right.
so I literally just asked them, like, what were their thoughts? My youngest son is a little bit more maybe removed, like not necessarily not passionate, but in the community that we live in, it's a little bit more on a diverse end. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think that he could have been a little bit torn, you know, because I have a lot of white friends and I have black friends, so they haven't experienced anything just yet, or if they have, they don't even know. Whereas my older son is 21,
Right.
so he's
A little bit more
experienced
exposure.
just, yeah, a little bit more. And I've always told both of them, but I've always told them, you know, hey, you're a black man in the world, you know, and I told him I was scared, like, I'm scared, I want you to be safe.
Right.
So he had a little bit like more to say. He's a little bit more on the calm end of things. And I literally just asked them, and I just tell them to be safe. And I just try to give them a peaceful heart and give them a peaceful resolve. Do
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not right. I do not tolerate, but at the same time, what we gonna do? I told my son this specifically. I was like, you know, the best way to get revenge is to succeed.
That's right.
Focus on succeeding. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I had the conversation. It was very crafty, just like, what are your
Right.
thoughts? You know,
Right.
but random. It wasn't like a let me talk to you. What are your thoughts? It was just like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
while we're sitting down eating, well, what are your thoughts?
That's good. And see, I was always been bad on timing. That was even my issue in my marriage, you guys. I wanted to bring things up when I wanted to bring things up. I wanted to talk about things when I wanted to talk about things, and I had such a strong opinion that I would try to impede on my husband's opinion or feelings of what he felt or thought. So
Mhm.
I found myself doing that same thing with my son. This is a different conversation, but the same thing. So it was you're right. You know, instead of just asking, sometimes as parents, we can try to push our
Mhm.
thoughts, our beliefs, our ways on our children.
Mhm.
And that's where you can go wrong because you can break the relationship like that.
Yes.
And you
Mhm.
can't talk to them about Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, whatever your belief system is. I'm not getting into all that. But we have to be able to be in a place where we're reachable and teachable if
Mhm.
we want them to be reachable and teachable,
Mhm.
right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that my son has taught me, even through this
Yes.
time. And he's continuing to teach me. And it's funny you were saying that they're independent because we taught them to be that way. I used to love that about my son. Now I really don't like that about my
No,
son.
not that much.
Not
Mm-mm.
that much because he's so independent. So he is removed. Like, okay, son, I didn't talk to you. Oh yeah, mom, how you doing?
Right.
Like, dude, okay.
Mhm.
So anyway, so just even fast forwarding that, and now we're in this place, and now we're dealing with all these things, and our children
Mhm.
are dealing with it in their own way, and we're mothering them still, we're mentoring them still.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so how does that fit too? Because we're going to finish up in just a minute. How does that fit too now? You're in this space, and you know all this is going on, and your son is about to go off to school, and your other son is an adult doing his own thing. Now Tia is doing her own thing, and now she's in a place of coming into her purpose and her businesses and dating. Talk a little bit about how all that just fit into all of that, because I want to give these
Um,
ladies some hope too. Because you have a lot of women that are on here that are single, that are desiring marriage,
oh Lord.
that are dating, and you've been there for a while. Because how long I've known you?
We've known each other for years, at least 5 years, at
At
least
least
6 years,
five
literally.
years. At least
Yeah.
5 years. And this is the first guy that I know of that it's like, okay, yeah,
Has gone
marriage
the
is
distance.
right. Marriage is in the making.
Yes, 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 yes.
So to close it up.
This guy, I just keep telling this dude I'm on live. I don't understand what he doesn't understand about that. But anywho, so yeah, so I am full fledged dating.
Woo!
Um, a grown man, a grown good black man. You hear me? Black
Yes.
love, hashtag black love.
Hashtag.
And it has been a learning journey, just the way it's been with my sons. It's the same
Mhm.
exact thing. Dating is interesting with older kids because it I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but they're not as opinionated. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just like
They don't keep.
you happy, I'm happy. You
Right.
good, I'm good. You know what I
Right.
mean? Make sure he
Stay on
treats
my
you right.
way, and I'll stay on you. Right.
He treats you right, we good.
Right.
And so that's kind of how it is dating. But my sons, like you said, to piggyback off of what you said, your son has taught you a lot. So my oldest son has taught me a whole lot
Mm.
on dealing with other people. Do you know what I mean? Not dealing with my son, dealing with a
Right.
human person.
Right. Right.
And so he's taught me even how to deal in this relationship, honestly.
Wow.
Everything so far has gone well. I've been evolving and I have been growing. I've been very deliberate. So at this point in my life, for those of you that do not know, I'm 40, about to be 41 in October. So at this point in my life, I think that I'm dope.
Yeah.
You know
You
what I
are
mean?
dope.
At this point in my
You
life,
wait a minute. You guys let her know that she's dope. I need you. I need like 5 of y'all to say like you are dope. Like
okay.
what?
I think I'm
What?
like dead dope.
What?
I think I'm a prize. I think I'm a catch.
Yes.
And I have a lot going on. So because of that, I'm not gonna say I didn't care about relationships, but I wasn't as hard up for it as I was before. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like I'm not willing to get in the wrong thing just to be in something. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? So that's
Right.
how it was when I met him. Like, like, hey, if it work, work. If it don't, that's fine
I'm
too.
good.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm like 100% okay. And so I've just been evolving this entire time, making sure that I treat him right. Because I feel like sometimes, especially us as strong women, we just have so many complexes. We are so strong. We are
Mm-hmm.
too strong. I don't want to treat him like he's my son. I don't, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's
Right.
so many
Right.
things. It's a
Right.
lot.
That's a learning, girl. Listen,
Oh
I'm
my
just now getting that.
goodness.
I've
Learning
been
how
married
to say
almost
it,
eight
when to say
years.
it, when not to say it,
I've been
how to
married almost
say
8 years. I'm just getting
it. Don't come straight forward. Make sure you come right and then turn, make a quick left.
right.
Do not come straight forward with a question. And patience. He's very, 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 very patient with me because I know I get on his reserve nerve. But my main desire is that I want to be. Well, I'm already a leader. I feel like I'm naturally a leader,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be a leader at home. I want my man to be my man,
Right.
so that I could be a woman.
That's good.
That's it.
That's
Like
good.
a soft, crybaby, feminine, regular Dia woman.
Yeah.
Like not, so it's just been a learning curve, but it has been a great learning curve. I just love how, so we are dating for marriage with the intent of marriage, but even if it doesn't get that far, like I've learned so much about me that, if this ain't, I got one more in me. So this is the one more, but if it don't get there, I feel like I've evolved so much that,
Right.
I'm kind of good at this thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. We'll have to have you on another time. We'll talk just about your love story and all that stuff when we get closer
Yes,
to
girl,
the
that's
wedding. I'll be
good.
excited to do that. I told my husband, I'm like, look, for whatever reason, if we don't work out, I'm good. He's like, you know what? I think I can say the same thing. I'm like, I don't want to get married again.
I don't want to hear that. Don't listen. If James, if you watching, don't you say that. Okay?
No, we're gonna be fine. We were just talking about it one day. I'm like, you know
You
what?
better be lost without me, sir.
Yo, we're good. We're good. It's till death do us part. We just have those conversations. I mean, just
Right.
conversations.
I'm
But
just saying he better not say that. Like if I say,
yeah.
you know what, I'm good without you, he better come back begging and pleading. Okay, I'm saying that it's a test and it's a lie. Okay.
But you know what? You have to be, and this is a conversation we can have too. You have to be so whole within yourself. Like I love God so much.
Right.
And I am so whole within myself. And I am so satisfied with God. Like
Right.
I am so satisfied with God. And I tell my husband this all the time. Like, listen, I can do without any of y'all, anything, anyone, but I cannot do without him. I know he's placed people in my life, and I know that people are adding value and things of that nature, but I gotta have him.
Yeah.
So I am so in love with him until he is the focus. He is my focus.
Right.
So, I mean, just to bring it, all the way home.
Yeah.
And we have to get to that point,
We
even
really
as a
do.
married woman. Yeah, I love my husband with everything inside of me as much as a human can love another human. But he is not my all. He is not my everything. He doesn't complete me. any of that. He adds value, great value to
Right.
my life,
Right.
right? He adds to
Right.
what I already have. He
Right.
multiplies what I already have because I'm
Right.
a whole person. I'm not looking
Yeah.
for him to make me whole. So my allegiance is to God. So
Yeah.
that's why I can say marriage is easy.
Yeah.
That's why I can say even though it's work, it's not. It's all good because my
Right.
focus is God, and as long as my focus is God, He's going to take care of this. Long as my
Mm,
vertical relationship is where it needs to be, God is going to take care of my horizontal relationships, and that's
that's good.
including my husband. So I
Hmm.
don't deal with a lot of things that many wives deal with when they're like, "Oh, it's
Right.
hard and this," and I'm like, "What are y'all talking about? Like, I'm
I
good."
think it could be hard, and I'm not married, but just being on this journey.
Yeah,
Firstly, I feel like it's hard because you make it hard. So
right.
I
There you
know
go.
a lot of this time. So there are things that he, have done things like that. So instead of maybe picking on him or pointing those things out, I literally always come back to myself.
Right,
Okay, Lord, what should I do? Why do I feel this way?
right.
What should I, like give me some type of guidance here. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's hard because you're kicking against the grain. And
Come
not to
on,
say that
somebody.
my relationship has been easy. It hasn't been easy, but I know that I can't change somebody else. I can only work on me. So I
You
can
say,
work on my
say that again,
perception.
Dia. Say that
You
again.
can't change nobody else. All you can change
Oh,
is you. All you can do is
okay.
work on yourself. Work on maybe your I know one thing that always comes to me. The Lord always checks me on it,
Yeah.
and that is perfection. I know for me, we have grace with ourselves because we know our intent, but we
Mm-hmm.
do not have grace on others because we just see what they do. Do you know what I
That's
mean? I
good.
think
That's
John
good.
Maxwell says that we
Yeah.
know our intentions, and so we give ourselves grace. We don't
Right.
give grace to others because we judge them by what they do. And so with our partners, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he gives me grace and I'm not giving him grace, why am I not giving him grace? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
When I've
Right.
done this, I've said that, I've done this, and I've said that. Why aren't you giving him grace? Why do
Right.
you want him to be perfect, but it's not required for you to be perfect?
That's right.
Because nobody ever will. But if it's worth it, keep change your perception. If it's worth
That's
it,
right.
change your perception.
That's right.
Is it
And that's
something you
so
should deal
true.
with or not?
Listen, the key thing you said is that you can't change another person. You can't
Hmm.
change that out. And when I learned that, and although I knew that, but when I really learned that, because you can know something and not really learn it and not implement it, but when
Right.
I really learned it and I really started applying it, then it was like we're smooth sailing from here. I
Hmm.
can choose not to respond. I can choose not to give in to whatever, I can choose my position. I can
Yeah.
choose how I allow my emotions to overtake me, control me,
Right.
overwhelm me. Like it's a choice in all of this.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get myself all bent out of shape. I'm not going to get myself all angry, all upset. And also, I'm going to continue to work on me. A lot of what's missing, and again, this is another conversation we just kind of chatting right now. A lot of what's missing is the lack of maturity and a lack of emotional intelligence. So
Hmm.
when that's not there, I guess, you're going to deal with a lot of internal conflict. And then that internal conflict is demonstrated on the outside because whatever is in is automatically manifested out. And
Right.
that's why I harp on wives to transform their life. That's why I harp on the wives to make sure you work on you
You.
because the
Yeah.
better you are, the better your marriage is going to be. So yeah.
Yes. I
But we
love
can
that. That's
we
so true.
we can talk all night. I know we're past time, but dear, let everybody know. We all have our replay viewers, and I forgot to address them. I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all. A lot going on. But hey, y'all, make sure y'all tag, share, and invite. Tag, share, and invite. Let everybody know where they can reach you, how they can connect with you. Do you have anything coming up soon that they can support you on, or anything of that nature?
Okay. So, hey guys, if you don't know already, I am your power pusher, your midwife, if you will. And so my main goal and my main thing is just to help women who are trying to reposition their lives. I just told you my story, so you know how far I've come. And I just want to help people get there also. I go live every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. for your midweek power push, where I just give tips and tricks and advice on how to get through this thing called life. It's not easy when you make a choice to change. It's not easy when you make a choice to get on track. It's not easy when you make a decision. it's not that easy. So I'm here to help you. So make sure you follow Power Push TV. I'm glad you asked about what I have coming up, because on July 1st, I am starting a challenge, a 30-day challenge, and it's simply entitled Shift. Because I believe in this pandemic and where we are right now, there are some things we need to work on to make sure that when it's over, we come out better on the
Mhm.
other side. I feel like a lot of people, at first we were shocked. I can understand that. So we kind of stagnated. But now it's been going on so long that you should be moving. And so I'll have different guests on Trail. I'll be hitting you up.
Okay,
So
okay.
not only will we be going live on Wednesday morning, I'll be going live on Wednesday night at 9. And we'll be doing interviews and just dealing with different parts of transition, from depression to business to making your ideas happen to procrastination, just touching on all these different things to make sure that we effectively shift. And once this pandemic is over, so is the old us.
Awesome. That's good. I'm excited. Yay. Definitely calling me. I'll be more than excited and more than honored to be a part of that.
Wait,
So let's,
Trell, question.
yes,
Do
yes.
you remember a couple years ago, you was like, so what do you want to do? Listen, if y'all know Trell, first of all, friend, no friend, dinner, lunch, party, you have to be coached, okay? So we were at the
Guilty.
fair. We were at the fair and we just like walking around. And so I'm a host. And I know that I'm called to speak and to help people. I love hosting and I love talking.
Yeah.
But I just didn't really see a market for it. And so randomly while we're at the fair, you're like, so what do you want to do with this? And I was like, I want to help people build confidence. He was like, so how you gonna do that? So I appreciate that conversation because I didn't have the answer, but I believe in what I'm doing right now. Even though I confidence is not mentioned in the tagline, if I'm helping you shift and I'm giving you that power push, I am building your confidence. Like I am
Absolutely.
successfully doing that. So thank you
Absolutely.
for always coaching somebody, girl. Because listen, okay, Trell won't let it go. You hear me? I don't care if y'all going to Wendy's to get a 4 for 4 on that ride. She gonna be like, so what you got going on? Do you remember that conversation?
I do. I do.
So,
I've had so many of those conversations. So it just ended me, you guys. And like you said, you just have to know me. And it's not that I'm trying to rain on your parade or force you to do something, but I see greatness and I see greatness in everybody. And this is what I've been called to do. I've been called to help women transform their lives. So it's just, I just naturally do what I do. I was, talking to my, we were at a Juneteenth cookout, small gathering with just family and my husband's cousin. I've never met her before, or maybe once, I don't know. She started telling me something about a relationship. So I just automatically inserted myself. And she's like, why would I tell you that? I don't know you. What the hell? That's what she said. I'm like, well, I'm just acting. I said, that's what I do. Listen, I said, this is what I do. This is my life. I said, I'm a marriage coach. I'm a relationship coach. And she said, oh, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. She wasn't playing. But anyway, but that's just what I just said all that to say that's my conversation.
That's who you are.
So that's who I am. So if you talk to me, if you say anything about a relationship, you better believe I'm coming. I'm coming.
And I'm the same way. You say something to me about purpose,
listen,
or you trying to figure out which way to go.
Come on.
Listen, you may not even want to talk to me because I'm
That's
telling
it.
you right now, I'm giving you probably 14 steps. You hear me? 4 to 14. Here's what you need to do now. Here's what you need to do next.
Right.
So I've turned into Trail Jr. I never thought this would happen.
My grasshopper. Love it, love it, love it. Well, Deya, it's been great. Listen, it's been great. I love you so very much.
Yes,
I appreciate you. I mean, you're so awesome, so amazing. I'm glad that we are in this space together. I'm glad that I got to know you some odd years. I think through my husband. I don't even remember how it was.
Through your husband.
Through my husband.
You guys had your first launch, and he recommended me to
host it.
Did.
He did. That was it. It was all over, y'all. So listen, some great things are coming up. Even with Detour Movement, some great things are coming up. So stay tuned. COVID kind of shifted. It didn't stop, but it kind of shifted. But we do have some things in our back pocket. So just be on the lookout for that. I love you all with the love of Jesus. I really, really, really do. And we'll be back on next Friday, and we'll have a new theme for July. Really, I think July, Deya, I'm going to talk about trusting, putting trust back into the marriage, rebuilding
Ooh,
trust. I
that's
really want
good.
to talk on that for the month of June. So if you
Girl,
guys have
help
any,
me. Help me.
listen,
I'm watching.
if you guys have anything that you want me to talk about in particular, anything that's juicy, anything that can benefit at least 5 of y'all, let me know. All right, you guys, this is your girl Trail Ravenel, and this is
Deya Patterson, your homegirl with one dimple, some cute, and a whole lot of God.
all right, y'all. Have a good night. Bye.